At this time, I will call the meeting of the Marshall City Council to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. We do have an agenda before us. Are there any changes to that agenda? If not, we'll operate under that agenda. The first item then would be to consider the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting that was held on September 24th. The council does have those minutes. Are there any corrections to note?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Jim, seconded by Craig, to approve the minutes as they have been presented. We will move to a vote. We'll close the voting. And the motion does pass. We'll move then to the consent agenda. We'll bring the items on the consent agenda up on the screen. And they include consider the approval of the outdoor public fireworks display for Prairie Home Hospice for November 29th, 2024. Consider the request of Prairie Home Hospice and Community Care for the Light Up the Night Parade on Friday, November 29th, 2024. Consider the approval of temporary liquor license for SMSU Homecoming. Consider the approval of temporary liquor license for SMSU Gold Rush Raffle. Consider the approval of temporary liquor license for Marshall Chamber of Commerce. Consider the approval of a lawful gambling permit for the Marshall Area YMCA, and then consider the approval of the bills and the project payments. Is there any item on the consent agenda any member of the council wants removed for separate discussion?
Move approval as written.
Second.
Motion by Steve, seconded by John. Discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. And we'll close the voting. And the motion does pass. We'll move then to agenda item number 9. Consider the introduction of the ordinance amending Chapter 22, Article 8, licensing and registration requirements for the sale of intoxicating cannabinoid products. With us tonight, I believe, is City Attorney Pam Whitmore. Pam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I assume you can all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is just the introduction of another cannabis-related ordinance. And just a big overview of that is that we have in existence a registration system for our lower level hemp-based edibles, which are referred now in statute as the lower potency hemp edible retailers. And so this ordinance amendment in front of you takes that existing section and makes amendments to it so that we can register those higher level adult use cannabis product. And the retailers for this product is not just the same types of retailers, but it's a little broader because there are these micro businesses and meso businesses, which are vertical businesses that also can have a retail component. And so that will be anticipating registering that and limiting the number of registrations, which is allowed under state statute based on population for our city to 2. This also sets up a structure since we register as a city, but we don't license the state licenses. This sets up a structure for us to work collaboratively with the Office of Cannabis Management and making sure that the locations where they're licensing these retailers meets our safety and fire codes, as well as our zoning provisions. The council will, at a later date, after it goes through Planning Commission, be seeing amendments to our zoning code for not just the retailers, but all the cannabis businesses. So that's what's that's what's being introduced tonight.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Any questions for Pam? If not, is there a motion to introduce?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Craig, seconded by Jim. Discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. And we'll close the voting. And the motion does pass. We'll move to agenda item number 10, consider the approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Article 2-2, the intoxicating liquor Pam, are you going to handle this as city attorney or Stephen as city clerk? Okay.
Sorry about that. Yes, so Stephen is the one who prepared this.
Okay, very good. Stephen Anderson, city clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance for amending Chapter 6, the intoxicating liquor ordinance. It originally was brought up by the Marshall A's because right now they have a 3-2 on-sale liquor license, and with that license, there's a really limited amount of beers that they can get from wholesalers right now. So by amending it to match existing state statute, which has 12 different types of establishments, and we're mostly just going to be making it up to date to what the state has. Right now, the city can issue licenses to hotels, restaurants, bowling centers, clubs, and exclusive liquor stores. If you do look at it, there are 10 that we're going to be amending. 2 of them that we're not including are specific to the metro area, so there was no need to have those included. And if there's any questions, I'm available.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Any input from the Legislative and Ordinance Committee?
Nope, we discussed this and
Okay, any other questions?
The only question I have, and this is out of my curiosity, Steve, what are the 2 that are not included?
One of them is for the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority, and the other is for the Metropolitan Sports Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
so moved.
Second.
Motion by Steve, seconded by Amanda. Discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. We'll close the voting. Motion does pass. Agenda item number 11, consider the approval of the ordinance to repeal Section 22-213 of the Minnesota Energy Resource Franchise Agreement. Stephen, once again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance that originally was passed on July 23rd by the council. When the ordinance was granted to Minnesota Energy Resources, they were looking to extend a natural gas pipeline along North 7th Street near ADM down to Dunnick's plant near the bridge on North 7th. After the agreement was passed, Minnesota Energy took a further look at it and saw that there was a specific provision that they didn't particularly like. And that specific one is for the city, the ability to purchase any natural gas lines that were installed. It was a holdover from when Great Plains Natural Gas had their original franchise ordinance with the city, and all we did really was just modify Great Plains and replaced it with Minnesota Energy with just a couple tweaks here and there. And so with this repeal of this section, City Attorney Whitmore and Robert Vose of Candy and Graven both looked at it, and it wasn't a typical provision that's in current franchise agreements. It might have been something back in the past. It was might have been fairly common, but now it's not a very common provision that's seen. And so they didn't feel that it would be something that would be negative for us to have repealed.
Very good. Any questions for Stephen? If not, is there a motion for the approval of the ordinance to repeal that section?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Craig, seconded by Jim. Discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. We'll close the voting. The motion does pass. We'll move then to agenda item number 12, Commission Board Liaison Reports. Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. PI&T Committee met again yesterday to go over a number of items that will be coming forward at some point in time here to council again for approval or their review. The good news about it is there's still quite a bit going on positive here in Marshall for projects and continuing to maintain and invest in the community. So hopefully they're all positive. I know some of them are going to be hopefully pleasing to our Main Street business people. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Steve,
Mine have not met.
Amanda?
Neither have mine.
The MnDOT Area Transportation Partnership had their kickoff meeting this past Friday. I represent the Southwest Regional Development Commission on that board and also chair that. So this is the start of the determination of the projects that will be on the funding list for the next 5 to 10 years. So Jason also sits in on those meetings too. So it's a good process and good public input on all of the projects that are under consideration for a variety of funding sources, mainly though the federal funding. John?
Nothing.
C?
The CVB met last week, and Adrian now is going to be in charge of the Red Baron, and then Cassie will be in charge of Visit Marshall. Just because there's so much going on with both that it was just too hard to have the overlap in there. So, and then they had a previous intern that used to work for them designed the letter M. Really neat design. It had all the little elements of Marshall, and they made it into a T-shirt. So they will have a pre-order pretty soon. So if anybody wants a T-shirt that has the Minnesota logo, the Marshall logo on it, and then they also ordered some puzzles with the same thing, and those are pre-ordered. And then the report for Prairie Jam is ticket sales were down from last year, so it was a little disappointing. But it's still, I went and we still had a good time. DEI Commission just met, and we finished reviewing the DEI strategic plan. And did some welcoming week recap, and just going back to strategic plan, we talked about some of the goals that were in there. I think, there's some lofty goals, but I think that with a lot of partnership with the city, with other entities around Marshall, I think we're able to complete those goals. And then we're also going to try to change the way that we run our meetings, maybe not using Robert's Law, so that way it's more welcoming and inclusive, so that way we get more people to come enjoy the DEI Commission. So we do have 2 vacancies still, and we are starting our new meeting time, which is the 3rd Thursday of the month at 4. So if anybody's interested in applying, we'd love to have you. That's all I have.
Okay, Jim?
I don't take good notes like C does, so I have nothing.
We'll move along then to council member individual items. Jim?
The meeting's so short, I feel like I should get on my soapbox, but I won't today, and I have nothing to add.
Wow.
And C?
I don't have anything.
John?
Nothing.
Craig?
Oh, I'm gonna follow Jim's lead, and I've got nothing.
Steve?
I've got nothing.
And Amanda?
Well, no, I'm kidding.
Well, thank you. So we'll move then to agenda item number 14, the staff reports, starting with City Administrator Sharon Hansen.
I'll keep it rolling. I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
City Engineer, Director of Public Works, Jason Anderson.
Maybe just one thing. On the Whitney construction project, the concrete work should be finished by the end of the week, as well as the grading and base and preparation for paving. We should see paving next week, tentatively planned for Tuesday, Wednesday right now, so we'll see how that goes. But that project is nearing completion. One other item you may notice around town at some of the bus stop locations, there's some dirt excavated. That's our cooperative project with UCAP Transit, where they have a grant to install some more bus shelters. So those will be formed and poured and placed pretty soon as well. So that project is now moving along as well.
Very good. And City Attorney Whitmore.
Nothing.
Which brings us then to the remainder of the agenda, including the agenda item number 17, the administrative briefs, the listing of building permits, and the listing of upcoming meetings for the council's information. Is there anything else to come forward at this meeting this evening?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
By Craig, seconded by John to adjourn. Discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. We'll close the voting. And the motion does pass. We are adjourned.